Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya, and this is my daughter Savannah. And today we're going to do a little bit different kind of video for you. It's a sort of a reaction, but more of a commentary. We are going to talk about a certain video that was on the channel Jubilee. And we've already watched it. It's an hour and a half long, but we're not going to react to it in this video, like put the video on and talk while it's on. We've already watched it, and Savannah did research and wrote down a bunch of notes about it, so we're going to discuss how we feel about this video while showing clips of the video. But yeah, Savannah wrote down a lot of notes, and we have a lot of opinions on this subject. If you're wondering, this is the Jubilee trans debate about
conservatives versus trans liberals.
Yeah.
It was a highly anticipated video, and especially because it has Blair White in it, which if you guys don't know who Blair White is, she is a very popular creator, and basically she does a lot of educating about the trans, not even the trans community, because she's been shunned by the trans community, but about what transness really is.
Yeah.
And she is a conservative. She is a right-wing trans female. But yeah, this was a debate done on the middle ground segment of Jubilee, and I watch Jubilee all the time, so I thought it was going to be, I was super excited to watch the video. And a lot of people have made videos about this video already.
I saw that.
A lot of the people I watch, at least, because I don't watch like drama channels, but I do watch a lot of people talk about, I guess, political things in the sense of like what the crazy libs are up to. So yeah, if you're like a very crazy liberal, like if you are very liberal, you're probably not gonna like a lot of our opinions. Just saying that.
I'm not personally on any side, really. I just have my own opinions on things.
Yes.
I don't go by sides.
But liberals will not like our opinion.
True. In this sense, that's true.
So if you're gonna try to just argue with us and say that we're being hateful and offensive, then just don't watch the video, because...
Well, I'm not going to try to be offensive or...
We're not, but the thing is...
People have strong opinions.
A lot of people think that disagreeing with them equals being hateful. And it's just us stating our opinion. We're not trying to be rude towards anyone or disrespectful. We're just stating what we feel.
Yeah.
So anyway, I took like 4 pages of notes. I rewatched the video and then took notes about it just to get an idea of kind of what I wanted to talk about. But yeah.
What do you want to start with?
Do you want to go in order of the video? Because that's how I have my notes spaced.
We can, but I want to start by saying Jubilee's editing on that video made things look way different than what had really happened, because Savannah and I had also watched videos after that one came out where like Blair reacted to,
and Sarah
they reacted to the video, and the liberals did their own.
Yeah.
And they were like, Blair was explaining that when they do the first debate on the video, it looks like she's just already mad at the beginning for no reason, but the truth is that was actually like the second debate or something, and there was a debate before that, and somebody had already shit on her career.
It was because they switched the first two topics. They switched the order of them.
Yeah.
Which, if you watch Sarah or Blair's video or know anything about Jubilee, Jubilee is liberals, and so a lot of things that they did, which, you know, most companies do edit things out of context or whatever to make things look a certain way. And if you're biased on one side of something, you will favor your side over the other, which I think is very ironic, because they tried to favor the liberal side, yet they made the liberals look very bad. I mean, the liberals made themselves look bad, so you can't really say if that was editing.
Yeah, and you can tell in their comment section, too, how...
Actually, I think we should talk about... I think I know what we should talk about first, actually.
Okay.
But you can finish what you were saying.
No, I was just going to say there were a lot... I never saw, when I just kind of scrolled through the comments, I never saw one comment that was agreeing with the liberals. Everyone was so mad at the liberals for how they were treating people like Blair and, what is his name, Andrew, I think?
Yeah, Andrew.
It was disgusting, so...
Yeah. I think we should talk quickly, just to start off the video, about the cast.
Okay.
So
Good idea.
So we'll talk about the conservative side first, I guess. The first person I'm gonna mention is Blair, because I'm actually a really big fan of Blair, so I guess it's kind of biased. I got her into Blair a little bit.
Yeah, I just recently got it. I've known about her for a few years. Savannah got me into Blair White this year, so I've been watching her, and I really, really respect her a lot.
So what I want to say about Blair is very intelligent and very well spoken.
Yeah.
She does her research, and which we'll get into later, how she says she devoted her life to this this cause, I guess. She is very knowledgeable, and as a trans person herself, she understands, a lot about the community and whatever. So she's very insightful, but also she even says this in her video talking about the debate. They needed someone like her on that side because she is very, I guess, outspoken in a way, the way she will say what's on her mind, and she will fight back if someone speaks badly about her or one of her team members. Mm-hmm. And then next would be Andrew. Andrew is a very sweet trans man. Mm-hmm. He looks super young.
Came across very shy and introverted.
Soft-spoken.
Very soft-spoken. He would try to butt in and make his own points, but he kind of got overpowered by the more talkative.
Oh yeah, which
ones.
Again we'll talk about later.
Yes, definitely.
And then there's Jessica, who definitely could have talked a lot more. I personally think that Jessica did not talk enough. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people say in the comments.
I bet Jessica has a lot to say, too.
I think, like what a lot of people said in the comments that I agree with is that she is the oldest trans person there. Mm-hmm. And as an older trans person, someone who was trans in a different generation or a different time of where transness was seen a completely different way.
She would have
a lot of insightful things to say, which she had said too, which is the first topic, is the restroom topic, how she used to be, it was easy for her to go into the women's restroom. But yeah, so there's just, I thought she was a sweetheart. She was very nice. And you could tell she did stand up for Blair a couple times. She tried to stand up for Blair. And then there's Sarah, which Sarah's the real MVP. Sarah wins the debate.
This was
Sorry, Blair, I love Blair, but Sarah wins.
They both win, but this was the first time I had ever seen Sarah. I had never seen her before, and I am in love with her. She is so intelligent, so intelligent. She was in the military. I don't know. She's just amazing. She was had no problem speaking up and fighting for her side. And,
she was able to get her point across, able to shut down the liberals' ignorant comments, and she also is very intelligent and respectful in the way she went about things. Mm-hmm. So I think Sarah did a great job.
Oh, amazing job. Amazing.
Now the liberal side.
Okay.
So first we have Sasha. Sasha's a trans man, also a younger guy, probably early 20s. Sasha, I don't think he came across that bad. I think he, in the debate, seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
What annoyed me was that because he was one of the youngest ones there, he kept repeating, oh, my vibe, this vibe, the vibe, and I was like, okay, you just sound stupid because you sound like a Gen Zer, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Just some of the things he said.
Just like when everybody calls everything a moment.
Yeah, some of the things he said were very toxic positivity, very annoying, because he would be like, why can't we all just be happy and stuff? And I'm like, that's just not how the world works. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like there were certain people in the entire group that maybe should not have been on a debate like that.
But he wasn't overly rude or anything, so I don't really have a problem with him. Mm-hmm. And then Shane.
I have a big problem with
with
this person because he was the first person to piss off Blair, and then they switched that around, like I said in the beginning. Mm-hmm. He was the one that pissed her off and came after her career. He also cannot look up at all to save his life. He looks down every time he talks, and I was not a fan of him.
He was very much, I'm better than you because I do community service.
Yeah, him and another person.
That was a point that continuously came up.
Yeah.
So then I saved my least favorite for last, and I'm not afraid to say that I don't like these people.
There's two more.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to say that I don't like these people.
Yeah.
The next two would be Blossom and Alexander. Mm-hmm. Blossom just sounds so ignorant. She makes herself sound really stupid because she was one of those people that talks loud and talks a lot, but the
words coming out of her mouth are
she's
so
really saying
dumb.
nothing.
Very dumb. All she wanted to do was be a part of this debate just so she could scream at people about race when it was a topic about trans.
But see, the thing is, though, even when we talk about prostitutes, trans women have to sometimes participate in sex work to survive.
But they base it off cis prostitutes. Sorry, I'm done. It was just, it was false numbers.
So from what I understand is, a lot of that focus has always been around black trans women because we do not get to see the age of 35. You are in a place, when I say privilege, you're in a place of privilege where you do not have to worry about the harassment and the discrimination that I face. I face as a black person. I face as a black person. I'm not going to say that you do not experience harassment or discrimination. That's not what I'm saying, because like you said, you're a person of nuance. And so follow me here. When I come as a person of color, as a black trans woman, you and I do not get to have that same experience. There are more rooms. I didn't. There are more rooms that you get to walk in that I will be forbidden in. And one thing about it is, that's why it's important, like someone like me has to create her own space to be able to counteract what you're doing. And I'm not saying that you don't. But what I'm saying here is, what I'm trying to get you to understand is, my blackness should not have to pay for your whiteness that doesn't make sense. Is destroying my community.
So it was very, very stupid.
And Alexander equally pissed me off, because I think Alexander, honestly, picking up his, God, I just talked about how Sasha was saying this, but picking up on his vibe and his energy, I can tell Alexander seems like a very aggressive person, and I think I would be scared to be in a room with him in person.
Absolutely.
He is very scary.
So here's the problem with, what's his name, Alexander? Here's the problem with him. He is a they, them, I guess, because what are they called?
Non-binary.
Non-binary, sorry, I am an old person. And the problem with that, that you'll see, that we'll talk about, Blair calls him out because she doesn't believe that non-binary people should be under the trans umbrella, because when people talk about them, they say trans and non-binary, and they also have nothing in common. You know, so we'll get into that later, but that was his problem.
I'm sorry again for if I'm offending anyone by calling Alexander him and calling everyone else by the correct pronouns, but I don't even think he is really non-binary. I think he sees himself as a male. And in real life, I think he sees himself as a male.
And this is not attacking other non-binaries. This is specifically talking about him because of his background and the things that he was talking about. He's very much like confused, I think.
But I had a problem. I had a big problem with Alexander. I honestly, Alexander is more threatening to me than Blossom is, even though Blossom is the biggest one in the room.
Not me.
Alexander is very scary.
I mean, Blossom isn't like scary, but like I would not want to be in a room with her.
Me neither. But I would be more annoyed of her than scared of her or intimidated by her. I would be more intimidated by Alexander.
Okay, so now that we got the cast out of the way, let's start with the first topic.
Okay, the first topic, which really wasn't the first topic, was the restroom debate about if trans people should use the restroom that they identify as, or their biological restroom. So I just kind of took a couple notes about the highlights of things people said and stuff and how I feel about them. I think the overall thing with this topic was that everyone agreed, but they misunderstood what each other were trying to say. So, like, they were all saying that trans women are not inherently the problem. Trans women go into the women's bathroom to go to the bathroom. Real trans women, that is what they do. They are not being creeps. And everyone agreed the problem is men. But for some reason, the liberals saw the conservatives, the way they were explaining it, they saw that as thinking, you hate trans women. But the truth is, what they were saying, which Jessica says, you know, which I felt very sorry for her, saying she felt like she couldn't pass, and that's why she uses the men's restroom. And she also says it's a me problem, which I really agreed with, in the sense,
what problem?
A me problem. That she says she doesn't want to use the women's restroom and make women uncomfortable. So she says it is her responsibility as the trans woman to use the bathroom that causes the least amount of disturbance, as Blair also says.
6 years ago, when I was transitioned almost 8 years ago, but 6 years ago, it was never an issue for me to use the women's room. Girls would literally drag me in there with them and say, girl, you need to be in our bathroom. And I was like, I felt uncomfortable back then. I don't pass. I know I don't pass, so that's a me problem. And I'm not gonna turn my fear of being attacked in the men's room into a woman's problem. It's still a me problem, so I need to work on myself. And it sucks. Does it suck? Yes, it sucks. I don't pass. I know I don't pass. But I still respect women enough, and some trans people aren't capable of handling themselves against a man, but I am confident in my ability to do that. And not everybody can, I get that. But it's just now, 6 years ago, I used to use the women's room. Now I don't, because women have spoke out. They've come out and said, we're not comfortable. There's too many self-ID'd people out there just taking advantage. And I choose to use the men's room to protect them.
Which they all kind of agree with that. Like you said, trans women are not the problem. It is the men that are the problem. But some men will pretend to be trans women to get into the women's bathroom. Mm-hmm. And yes, it sucks that trans women have to pay the price for that. But at the same time, you also should have the decency to not want to make women uncomfortable.
Right.
Because women are going to be the victims in that situation.
Yep.
I also think it also can go the other way around. Like, I don't doubt that a trans woman or even a trans man using the men's restroom, that can be very dangerous for them too.
Yes.
I think it can be extremely dangerous
because of the men.
Exactly.
That's the point, is the men are usually the attackers.
So I understand why trans women would feel more comfortable using the women's restroom. Yeah. Like Blair, for instance, though, I think what they say too about like passability, if you're in a certain point in your transition, it would not make sense for Blair to use the men's restroom.
Right. If you're extremely passable in that way,
yes.
No one's even going to think twice. And Blair is extremely passable.
Yeah. Which I think she mentioned in debate, she did make a video, and I went back and watched it, of her walking into the men's restroom to see the reaction, mm-hmm. and they all kicked her out.
If you're a decent human being, you do what causes the least disturbance. So for example, I filmed a YouTube video a few years ago where I entered a men's restroom just because I was just writing to comments who were like, well, maybe you should use a men's restroom if you really feel like the way you feel. And so I said, okay, let's do it. Let's put a camera. And I was kicked out within seconds of the entire establishment, and it was a whole ruckus. So that's what I mean by, if you're a decent person, you do what causes the least amount of problems for people around you. And if you're, you know, a moral person, you're going to be conflict avoidant in general when it's something like that, right? It's like, what's the point of causing issues for anyone, especially if you're really just trying to pee,
I think just put
get
your
it
head
done.
down, go in, get out.
Right.
Really?
They kicked her out. They were like, why are
God.
you in here? Am I in the wrong bathroom or are you? Because she looks and talks and sounds like a woman.
Yeah.
So I think if, like, yeah, I mean, I would, if a trans man, like, for instance, if Shane walked into the women's bathroom, Shane is very much comes off as a male.
As a man, yeah.
So I would be uncomfortable with that. And, you know, some people, like I said, like, some people who are super conservative would say if you're trans, no matter what, use your restroom. But, like, at the same time, I would also feel uncomfortable with Shane walking into the restroom because I don't know that he's actually biologically female.
I'm going to just say one thing here, and this is just my personal opinion. You don't have to agree with it. But in my mind, I feel like all of this fighting over restrooms could be fixed so easily if you would just build extra bathrooms, one for trans women and one for trans men, and then no one feels uncomfortable. Yeah. You might feel like you're being maybe segregated in some way, mm-hmm. but I don't think that that is the point. I think the point is to keep people safe and keep people comfortable in the spot that they're going to the bathroom in, because mm-hmm. you're going in somewhere to be vulnerable, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that the best thing to do is just to make these 2 extra bathrooms, and then there's no question, there's no...
Yeah, because, again, even not just men being the problem, I think it can make men very uncomfortable with someone who looks like a woman coming into their bathroom as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because with men, there's not always a stall. You're at the urinal, you're bearing it all. Mm-hmm. So I think they would also be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
so it's just a thing where, like, you have to kind of gauge each situation and
figure
out what...
And it's person to person, because every person using a bathroom, if you're in a public place, there's thousands upon thousands of people could be going in that bathroom.
Yeah,
you know?
Which Shane did make one
Everyone's
point
different.
that I actually did kind of agree with in this one was that lesbians will get kicked out of the women's restroom because they look more masculine or something. which actually at my middle school, something like that did happen.
Really?
Yes, we had a tomboy. She is a female, and in my opinion, you can tell she's a girl. She also has a very feminine name. She's a female. A lot of teachers and stuff would discriminate against her, calling her a boy and stuff. And when she walked into the changing room for PE, the locker room, people thought she was a boy and got really offended and scared and were like, why is there a boy in here? But she was just a girl.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I just want to say really quick, because it might look weird that she's doing a lot of the talking and I'm just kind of answering. But the reason why it's like this was because Savannah wanted to sit down, rewatch the video, and research, and write down all these notes, because her and I had already previously discussed this video off camera.
Yeah.
So all of our opinions on it really aligned with each other. So she did the research, and then whatever she wrote, and I don't know what she wrote, I'm just going to give my commentary on her stuff too.
And if you guys know my personality at all, like, this is something I'm super passionate about. And especially researching is also something I'm super passionate about, so I can talk on and on and on about stuff I'm interested in. But two things from this, by the way, just to wrap this topic up, two things from this that I did not like were when Blossom said that they're policing transness and that it's right-wing propaganda. Because that is not right-wing propaganda. Men do creepy things in the women's restroom all the time. Second of all, when Alexander says, as a non-binary person, having the choice for either restroom, that thing, no, you don't have the choice. And as a non-binary person who looks like a man, a feminine man, you should be going into the men's restroom.
He doesn't even
in my opinion, you should.
He doesn't even look feminine. He just looks like a man dressed up in a clown suit.
Yeah. I understand, again, men who are more expressive and more comfortable with their sexuality in a way where they dress a little bit
Feminine.
whatever, I know that it happens. They get beat up and stuff for that. I understand that. But also, you made the choice to dress like that, and you do not look like a woman at all. So I think you should be going into the men's restroom.
Well, he also has like a beard and...
Yeah, Alexander, like, I'm sorry. If you're non-binary, I don't know. I just think it's completely different.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the second topic was the military ban for trans people, which was actually the first topic. And this one had a lot of interesting things going on. First of all, though, I wanted to say I think Sarah should have had more room to speak because she was the only veteran in the room.
I agree. I think it's really shitty of the Jubilee people that they didn't give her the floor more because, like Savannah said, she is a veteran. So she would know way more about how the military works than anyone else in that room.
And other people on the panel were trying to say different things about how the military works and stuff. And it's like, you need to let Sarah answer those questions because Sarah, being in the military before and having friends who are currently in the military, knows how they operate and what the trans ban actually entailed and the process to get into the military. She would know the best out of all of you because she was in it. So
let's start with the first thing that pissed off Blair. Because isn't this the one?
yes.
Okay. And so I think the first thing said was from Shane, wasn't it?
It started with Shane because Blair was talking. I don't remember exactly what she was saying at this part of the video, but she was saying her opinion on it. Just basically like everyone was kind of agreeing again. Blair thinks it's about the safety and effectiveness of the military, which I think is a very understandable thing.
The most important. It's our military.
It would be dangerous for the trans people
It would be
and
dangerous
for the other soldiers.
It would be dangerous
And for our country.
Yeah.
Which I think it works the same as like letting someone like, even like me in the military, right? I have a bunch of mental illnesses. So having someone who has any type of issue into the military is not going to be good because it's going to make the safety, like it's going to be a safety concern.
Right. And what people don't, I think, hear all the time is that there are so many people that try to go into the military that get told that they can't do it for various reasons. Yeah. It can be something real small.
Like Blair said. Blair was like, if you have a messed up pinky toe, or if you have a minor case of you have a minor case of social anxiety, you cannot be put into the military.
So it's not like they're targeting trans people or gay people or anything.
And what Sarah said they didn't actually ban trans people from being in the military.
Right.
What they banned was you can't be on hormones and enter the military.
Right. But first of all, so Shane interrupted Blair.
And said, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Remember what he said?
No.
Oh. Basically,
It was
he
pretty
cut her
long.
off
It
and
was
said,
long-winded.
he cut her off and said, have you ever actually worked with trans people?
Yeah.
And she looks at him like, what?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm working with trans people right now. He's like, but have you ever actually worked with trans people? She's like, my whole career, she was explaining her whole career, right? She had to defend herself because they were all coming at her saying she's not grassroots or whatever that means. And saying that,
well, all as in the liberals. Not...
Yeah, it's disappointing because, like, she doesn't work with trans people face to face. She's not in community service. She doesn't have any foundations or funding that, like, she doesn't donate to trans organizations or whatever. Like, all these different things. She doesn't work in social work. Like, she's not a social worker.
And how would they know if she did any of that anyway? They wouldn't.
Yeah, and they were basically all downplaying her career, which, again, we talked about her career a little bit. She is a content creator, and everyone came to her defense in this, too, in the comments, because she reaches millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, for me, she changed my opinion on how I view a lot of LGBTQ issues, because
it just made sense when she was...
It makes more sense, and it shows you that they are not all the same. They don't all have the same opinions.
Mm-hmm.
Blair, have you ever worked directly with trans people? Have you ever worked directly?
I am right now.
No,
We're
directly
surrounded by
in
them.
services in terms of nonprofits and actually getting clientele.
She's not
That's
grassroots.
my entire
She
career.
is not a grassroots
Not
person
grassroots.
because, truth be told, a lot of our
What does that
community
even mean?
is in grassroots.
Have you ever had a
Nonprofit
client list of
organizations that are
transgender people that
trans-led.
you
Hold
actually
on just
took
a
care
second.
of?
Hold on just a second.
Took care of them, like paid their bills? No, I don't
sorry,
Offering them
excuse me,
services, getting them through
excuse
services.
me.
I've helped a lot of trans people in my life,
Trans-led
yes.
organizations that are ran by trans people. I really want to see what you've done for those organizations because I don't see any of y'all on the front line.
Hold on. I've dedicated my entire life to, in my own way, and you can disagree with that because we all have our vehicles and our methods towards promoting trans acceptance and the ultimate progression of the quality of life of trans people. I've dedicated my entire life to that.
Yeah, they were all bullying her career, basically saying her career isn't good enough, that it doesn't help enough, and that she doesn't help the trans community.
Pretty sure that reaching millions and millions of people on YouTube is definitely working with trans people.
Yeah, and like she never ever attacked their careers personally once, even when they were attacking hers.
No,
she still didn't attack theirs.
She kept it classy the whole time.
Which, like, what they do is great too, cool. And she even said, she was like, yeah, we all have our own methods and how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that each, like, one of our methods is less, or is, like, better than the other.
If you're reaching someone heart to heart through a screen, or if you're sitting in front of them in a chair, what's the difference? If you're reaching someone...
Yeah, and Blair is very much a knowledge is power person. And so she's spreading the knowledge, which I also agree with the knowledge is power thing. She's spreading the knowledge. But Blossom even chimed in here and said, I don't see any of y'all on the front lines. Like, okay, way to make it about yourself and say you're on the front lines. But, like, the only person I had heard of on the panel was Blair. She's the only person out of the whole panel that I even knew who she was. Mm-hmm. So, it also, in this topic, Blossom came after Andrew and his privilege.
Oh, okay, can I just say, I don't think anything pisses me off more than this moment. I mean, the privilege talk.
Yeah. Basically, he chimed in on something she said. And she said, do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking to Andrew. And how I saw that too, I viewed that as a very masculine thing to do. Not that you can't be a masculine trans woman, right. But it was very much, she's the biggest one in the room and the loudest one in the room, and he is the smallest, quietest one in the room. And she targeted him, and she said that he is privileged, basically because he's white. Mm-hmm. Blair got all mama bear and came to his defense. Mm-hmm. And also, she said in her video, was trying to take up as much space as she could because she felt like he was threatened in that situation because he is small and quiet and couldn't defend himself the way she could defend herself or anyone else.
Yeah.
And what was really sad about what she said about that was the fact that it was a race thing. Like, I mean, any trans person is going to have to deal with a lot of discrimination and stuff. So they all know what oppression is like to some degree. Mm-hmm. But when you hear Andrew, he said he literally has HIV. He grew up in a drug addict family. Like, you don't know how people grow up.
Right. You don't even know what you're saying, Blossom.
Like, what about that is privilege?
What about that is privilege? The color of his skin? Really? That I just don't agree with that. I don't agree that they say later that Blossom is the, I don't know if you wrote this in your notes, but they say later Blossom is actually the one that had a lot of privilege.
Yeah, she's been in the White House.
Been in the White House, went on Ellen.
Yeah, and got a full ride scholarship.
Full ride scholarship to medical school.
And
so I'm pretty sure that's privilege, and Andrew's upbringing was not.
Yeah, and she said there are rooms that you'll be able to walk into that I'll never be able to. And it's like, what rooms?
You walked in the White House.
Especially if it has to do with transness, which is what the debate is about. They are all trans. Your transness isn't...
Well, except for Alexander.
Right. But yeah, and then like to wrap up this one, something I thought was good that Jessica said was that she only wants people in the military who are in it for the right reasons, because Shane kept saying, what if people are in the military because the only way they can take care of their bills or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And Jessica's like, I honestly don't even think that's a good thing, because we should have people in the military who want to serve the country.
Right.
And who want to do a good job doing it and keep the country protected.
And so if you look at the grand scheme of things, the military, the American military, is so good because it's people joining who actually want to join and fight for our country, whereas there are countries where they're forced to be in the military, and then their military is not very good because they don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm. And then this was also the part where Blossom threatens Blair. It happened during this topic as well. Mm-hmm. Which Blossom claims she never did, but it was caught on camera.
It was on camera, you can't deny it.
You can hear it happening, which you could play the clip.
I'll play it right here.
People are allowed to be. I'm speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking.
You've interrupted. You're pathetic, Blossom. Demanding respect based on her skin color and her identity. That is pathetic. You are not owed respect based on your skin color or your identity. You're owed respect based on being a respectable person, which you're not. You're simply not. You've interrupted me hella times. When it comes to isms. Did the interrupter just say use her skin tone to say you couldn't interrupt her?
If you are black and trans and you want to go into the military, I am quite sure that my experience would not look the same as y'all's. And if we can't wake that up, then we're really being complicit.
They don't look at your race. I don't think your skin tone makes any difference.
Well, yes, it does.
As somebody who's serving in the military,
for you to tell a black person that is so problematic, for you to tell a person of color here, because I am, this is my experience and this is my reality. First of all, that is so disrespectful to tell a person of color, a black person, how they should feel. How dare you sit up here and say that?
It's disrespectful for you to tell a white person.
Hold on just a second.
You screamed at me and you just, yes you did.
No, you're being
disrespectful. Rewind the tape,
you wanted me here and I'm here.
Screamed.
So what you gonna do?
You need to calm down.
No, you do, honey.
My God, someone get a Xanax for her. That Xanax was never got for her. This was the beginning.
Oh, keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute.
Oh, that's inappropriate, but the rest of shit isn't. Okay. When you escalate a political debate, what's supposed to be a battle of the minds, to something physical, you're not a respectable person. So you want to talk about hitting people? Do not interrupt a black trans woman while she's speaking. For what? For what? Because what you have to say is so intelligent and so worth listening to. You're the dumbest person in the room, actually, which is kind of saying a lot.
Oh, keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute. Your body.
Keep it real cute. How about you find cute? Land on cute. Right? I'll meet you there because I've been on cute, stayed on cute. Throwing out violent threats in a political debate. Yoking up on the smallest one on the panel. Did you just tell a black trans woman? He did. And what are you going to do about it? Because I have his back. He is so sweet.
But Blossom says, like, I have my security guards outside, whatever, for you. And it's like, how is that appropriate? Because, again, they come here to do a debate. Debates should be pretty tame. Like, you're not supposed to come and attack each other personally. You're coming to share your opinion on something that's important to you and try to win the other side over. It's not supposed to be a personal thing. But what I've seen with a lot of liberals that I know, not to group all liberals together, but a lot of people that I know that are like that are very much activists, they turn everything into a personal attack and then say that you're personally attacking them when you're not. So that just really bothers me.
Those people, to me personally, this is just my own opinion, I have a very hard time being around people like that because it comes across in kind of any conversation that you have with them, sort of. And I don't have the patience for it.
I mean, this can be saved for another video, but I have a lot of experiences with liberal professors, liberal friends. Anyway. So, next was minors getting top surgery. So, minors getting top surgery, that is one that Blair is the most passionate about. She's always talking, she's always advocating for kids.
I think this was the topic that I was definitely the most passionate about as well, because it has to do with children.
Yes. So, basically, when Blair is talking, Alexander says, like, I don't understand this obsession with other people's children, which is another annoying thing that you could say, because it's not an obsession with other people's children. It's protecting other people's children.
Protecting all children.
Because if I were a parent, I would not want the doctor or teachers or whatever to have so much power over my kid. So this stuff is important. Because...
And when this stuff started happening the last so many years while you were still in school too, and Savannah knows, like, I would talk to her about these things because everything kept changing, and it's like, the teachers, like, there was always these new rules at school that never used to be there and stuff, you know? And it's really frustrating.
Yeah. And, like, if you think about it, in this type of thing, in this day and age, parents don't have the control, which is a scary thing. And Blair is not just defending the children, but defending the parents' rights for their kids. Because a lot of times the parents are getting manipulated. And it's not an obsession with people's kids, so Alexander can stop trying to make it a creepy thing. You know what's creepy is advocating for children to get their boobs removed. That's what's creepy. So, if you really want to talk about that.
And I know that in the video, they were kind of saying, like, 17 versus 12 or whatever. But in my opinion, 17 and 364 days, you're still a child legally. So, legally...
I think it should go by law to be an adult. I mean, I don't even think it... I mean, I think at 18 it's fine to do it if that's what you want to do. But also, to prevent detransitions and stuff like that...
Therapy first.
Because, like, obviously, you don't turn into an adult overnight. So, like, if you turn 18, it doesn't make it...
You're not immediately this adult.
So, I'm with them that there needs to be a long process.
Yes.
And there's careers now that are called gender-affirming therapists.
Really?
Yes. So I think that is actually a very bad career because it's in the name, affirming. So for part of the process for transitioning, they can send you to a gender-affirming therapist. And what they do is they just affirm you. Which I think is wrong. Because in the process, they should be challenging you, and they should be finding the root cause of the issue, because you could have a different issue that is causing you to feel that way.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't realize it until it's too late. And Shane even compares it to high school dropouts, saying, why do we give kids the right to drop out of school and not the right to alter their bodies?
I'm sorry, if you're going to alter your body...
Horrible comparison.
Permanently? Your body? No.
It's a horrible comparison. I don't know, because you hear all this, the horror stories of the detransitioners, which Blair was coming to their defense as well, because a lot of them, Blossom was saying, it's so rare that for detransitioners, and Blair's made a really good point. She was like, you expect everyone in the world to care about our 1% of the world, which is trans people, which is a very rare thing. But you can't wrap your head around caring about the 1% of our community that is detransitioners. Because once you're a detransitioner, they shun you and they hate you.
Yeah, that's
and it's
horrible.
Like...
It should not be about a title. It should not be about race, gender, sexuality, any of these things. It should be about the person, and you should not shun someone for one of those specific reasons. if you don't like someone anymore, it shouldn't have anything to do with trans, not trans, non-binary. It should not have anything to do with any of these things.
Yeah. So, you know, I just think it's wrong altogether. I think hormones at a young age is wrong because it can really mess you up.
Yes.
Permanently. The entire puberty blockers thing, those should be banned. Mm-hmm. Originally, puberty blockers were, I don't remember what the exact reason was, but it was for a completely different reason. And they should stick to that reason because they do a lot of bad things to you.
Yeah.
Even if you end up being trans in your adulthood, puberty blockers don't help you with your transition. They make it harder.
Yeah. When I first heard that people could take puberty blockers, that made me so angry because I was like, you are messing up the one natural thing, like this one natural thing in your body that makes you grow up, and it changes you in the way that you're supposed to be changing, you know, biologically.
Yeah.
It's children should not be getting any type of permanent anything.
And it's not to say that people can't realize they're trans at a young age.
Yeah,
they most definitely can. Pretty much all of them like know that they're different at a young age.
At a very young age, yeah.
And that's okay. I'm not trying to say that's not a thing. But what I'm saying is the big medical decision should wait until you're an adult.
Yes, absolutely. And parents, this is a big thing for the parents. Don't listen to your child. Don't listen to what your child has to say for every single thing that they're telling you. Because,
and I think it's very sad that kids do have to live with the crippling gender dysphoria. That is sad.
Yeah.
But medically altering your body, like, I know it, like, is rough dealing with that type of mental illness or medical condition, whatever you want to call it. But it's still, you never know if they really are dealing with that or something else.
Right.
So,
it's the parent's responsibility to challenge their child like a doctor would do, or a therapist or something, because children these days, sadly, are constantly saying they're one thing and then they change it the next day. So parents really need, because parents these days, I see it all the time as a mother, will listen to what their child says and just agree with everything they're saying and think that they're right and that they know what they're talking about when they don't. They're children. They have not learned enough yet, had enough experience yet. You know, they might be right. Maybe they are trans, but the parent's responsibility is to make sure that that's what it is and to get them to age 18 without altering themselves in any way so that their childhood was at least the way it should be.
Yeah. The next one was non-binary being under the trans umbrella, whether it should or should not be. The first thing that was kind of brought up was that they are different and there shouldn't really be an umbrella because the trans experience, as they repeated throughout the entire video a million times, is very different than the non-binary experience. In the word binary, being a transsexual, which is the correct term, rather than transgender, being transsexual is a binary, in which all of the trans people there could agree that being a transsexual is a binary.
Right.
You feel like the opposite sex. And that is what you try to live as, is the opposite sex. But when you're a non-binary person, you identify as somewhere in between. And so, obviously, the way you think and the way you feel and the way you live life is going to be a lot different from each other. I mean, it's the same thing as, like, lesbians and gay people, or, like, gay guys, or bisexuals and gay guys. They're not exactly the same. They're both under that umbrella, but they're very different from each other. So, like, and, you know, Alexander tried to say that Blair was saying that non-binary people don't exist. It's like, yes, they exist, but they're not the same as a trans person.
Yeah, because trans literally is switching from one thing to the other, whereas non-binary is floating in between of nothing world, sort of. They're not either. They're just in between, or they're both. I don't know. Which
Andrew says a really, like, I guess, powerful sentence. He says, I can't take this off.
Right.
Because when you're a transsexual, it's not just how you dress or whatever. It is, it stems from a medical condition.
Yeah.
Non-binary does not stem from gender dysphoria being the medical condition.
Right. Gender dysphoria.
That is what makes a transsexual person. Gender dysphoria.
Yes.
If you don't have that, you are not trans.
Right.
But, I mean, it's also another YouTuber I watched that I think should have been on the panel. Personally, his name is Marcus. On YouTube, his name is The Offensive Tranny. Like, something that they both kind of say is, like, is that it is by gender dysphoria. But the thing is, the people who are actually trans will, like, they are aware that they are biologically the sex they are born as. They are aware of that. But they want to live their life as the other sex because they feel so uncomfortable being the sex that they are. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's they can't explain why they feel that way. It's just the mental disorder of they literally feel so uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Which it's like torture for them. And Laura said the moment she changed, her mental health got so much better. Mm-hmm. Everything just got so much better.
Yeah, because like I think for her too, she said like she couldn't leave the house anymore.
Yeah,
because she was so uncomfortable as a guy. Mm-hmm. And so like, yeah, non-binary people, it's just not the same because if I remember Andrew was trying to explain what gender dysphoria was to Sarah, who is a trans person. And, you know, Sarah was saying...
Wait, Andrew? You mean Alexander?
Did I say Andrew?
Yeah.
Whoops. Basically, Sarah was like, it's okay to just be a gender non-conforming and not label it as a gender, you know, and just be a gender non-conforming person. And she asked him what his dysphoria was.
And he couldn't answer because he doesn't have a dysphoria.
And how... Oh, yeah, because she also said gender dysphoria is different... Like, it has nothing to do with being feminine or masculine. Mm-hmm. Because what you'll see with a lot of activists and non-binary people is non-binary people are the way that they are based on they feel... It's less of feeling like a man or a woman and more of feeling in between femininity and masculinity.
Yeah.
And when you're a trans person who has gender dysphoria, it's not about that at all. It's not about, you know, oh, I like makeup or, oh, I want to wear men's clothes. Like, and... Alexander tried to say that's not true. And he said that, which really irked me, and made him look very stupid, was that he said women have dysphoria all the time about their boobs, and so they get boob implants.
Not the same thing at all.
That's not dysphoria, that is dysmorphia. Mm-hmm. That is body dysmorphia, which everyone kind of feels at some point. Body dysmorphia is when you don't like what you see in the mirror, but it has nothing to do with your gender. It is just certain traits you don't like about yourself, whatever.
Right. And what you see in the mirror is like not the same as what other people when they see you.
Yeah,
you know?
And so like...
It's like your mind tricks you.
Yeah, and it's not to say non-binary people aren't real, because yes, you are real, but you're more based on femininity and masculinity, whereas transsexuals are just highly uncomfortable
in their own skin.
And it's not just about how they express themselves, how they look necessarily, it's about how they feel.
Well, listen,
so
when it comes to the non-binary topic, like, and you said it's more like femininity and masculinity and you're somewhere in between. So I personally have never been a feminine woman, a girly girl, wear dresses, all this stuff. I enjoy wearing men's clothes. Mm-hmm. This is a man's shirt. I've always been more in between, sort of, you know. Does that make me non-binary? No, I'm a girl, and I know I'm a girl.
Yeah.
But if I were to suddenly say, oh, because I like to be in between, that must mean I'm non-binary. The problem with that is that children are not my age, and they can't understand that when they hear people say these things, that doesn't mean them. So there might be children online looking at these topics and these debates and these people who go online talking about this stuff and think, oh, well, I don't like to wear dresses and I like to wear men's clothes. I guess I'm non-binary. And they're tricked into thinking that, and that is one of the big problems.
And it's more widely accepted for women to be masculine than men to be feminine. Yeah. But I think it's also perfectly okay for a man to be feminine in the sense that he likes to wear more feminine clothes.
Right.
Or maybe he wants to wear makeup or do his hair a certain way.
The perfect example is Jeffree Star, because I know some people think he's trans, but he's not. He says he's a man and he likes to wear dresses and makeup.
Or, you know, you see Harry Styles wearing dresses and stuff now. Or like some men just like to be more feminine. And so I think that where non-binary was born was out of that, where it's like, people think it's not okay to be a man and be that way, or be a woman and be that way.
In my day, it was called being a tomboy, which was what I was called.
Or, you know, a lot of times it was, a while ago, it was, if your little boy is feminine, you know, a lot of people are like, okay, he's going to be gay.
Yeah. Oh, he played with a doll. He's for sure gay.
But I think it's okay to not put a label on it and just be feminine or masculine or a little bit of both, because, you know, all of us as humans, we are all a little bit of both.
We all have both. It's totally fine. Did I let my son play with Barbies when he was a kid? Of course. If he wanted to play with Barbies, he played with Barbies. That didn't bother me one bit. If Savannah wanted to play with the boy toy, which she never really wanted to, but if she did, I let it. I let her, you know, it's...
And, like, you know, the liberals all have this herd mentality, and, like, they're, like, ganging up and trying to bully the liberal or the conservatives, and I did not like that energy at all. It was very high school, middle school. And Alexandra used the word crippling, saying, you know, you don't know, you're not in my life daily, like I could have crippling gender dysphoria.
It was not until my later age that I kind of decided, like, you know what, let me be more open to different types of communication, different types of people. I actually talked so much shit about pronouns. Like, they, them, all this. I was like, what is this trash? When it first started really coming out, I did not agree with it. I was like, what is this? This is stupid. How can you be a them? Blah, 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 blah.
You were correct.
And I did the whole thing, the grammatically. You're interrupting me.
But you were correct. I'm just saying. I'm agreeing with you.
They asked you not to comment, and you're commenting. So if you could stop, that would be great.
Well,
Thank you. So anyway, as I was saying, you know, so I changed my mind because I got to spend time around other people who were non-binary, who were non-conforming, and I got to speak with them, and I got to experience their life and their experiences. And then I realized myself, I'm like, shit, maybe this is what I've been experiencing my whole life, only because I was exposed to it. If I would have never been exposed to it, I would have never known that this could have been my experience. And I would have lived the rest of my life as a different person, as somebody who I'm not.
If you can claim someone said something they didn't say, they should be able to correct you in the moment.
Do you feel good now that you said what you needed to say?
I feel fine.
Wonderful.
I'm sitting pretty, I'm fine.
Hold me
back.
I
mean, you're appropriating a medical condition. That's what you're really doing.
I exist. I am proof that non-binary people exist and that it is a thing. Cis women have dysphoria about their breasts all the time. They get breast augmentation.
It's not dysphoria.
That doesn't mean that I'm not dysphoric about certain things. That doesn't mean that.
And I hate when people say that, because he's saying, I have crippling this. And it goes back to the oppression Olympics, which is something that my generation created and my generation is obsessed with, which is which of us suffers the most. And you always want to be the one that suffers the most. And it's why? Why? Why do you want to be
Why is it a contest? Why do you have to make it a contest?
Yeah, it's who has it the worst in life. And it's why do you want that?
But why does anyone care? Like, who cares?
Yeah. And, you know, Blair says he's just appropriating a medical condition. Because being a transsexual comes from a medical condition. It is a real thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, and he's like, I exist. Non-binary people do exist. It's just different.
Yeah.
Next was doctors manipulating trans people. I don't really have much to say about it. It was more of just like...
Well, all of them said that they went to the doctor for the first time. The first day they walked out with the medicine. What was it called?
Just their hormones.
Yeah, the hormone medicine.
Testosterone or estrogen.
Yeah. The first day, the doctor barely doesn't even know them. They walked out with a prescription for the hormones.
Yep. And they don't try to look for the root issue, which could be a completely different thing.
I think that's a problem with doctors in general, because it's not just trans that go in there. It's people come in there, and the doctor doesn't spend enough time getting to know the person before they...
Or just isn't educated enough on stuff, and so they just give you what you want.
True, because I think that doctors and teachers and all these people are getting bullied into changing their views, so they don't hurt anyone's feelings or whatever.
Because a lot of people are losing their jobs for not being liberals, pretty much, and it's really sad.
Yeah. Everyone's so afraid these days to offend someone, but it's like, you need to grow a pair, because... people are just becoming the biggest fucking babies these days, and it's really disgusting.
Which they do push other things on people, and like doctors are pushing other things on people, and making everyone for some reason in this day and age is feeling like I need to be a part of something. I need to be part of a community. And so everyone thinks they have all these mental illnesses and stuff like that, and they're part of all these different LGBTQ, like, this huge umbrella. And so, like, they even, I don't remember who said it, but someone said doctors also push SSRIs on people. And, you know, it's all pushed on patients. So, like, if, I don't know what the statistics are, but I kind of want to look into it now, because the amount of people that are on anxiety meds now,
oh, it's
SSRIs, there's a million people on them, people who don't even have the diagnosis, because it's, you tell them, I've been anxious lately, and they just give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, not everyone needs to be medicated. And Blair says all the time, our generation is obsessed with medicalization.
I'll be honest with you, when I knew I had anxiety since I was 5 years old, but I just didn't know what anxiety was. I just knew I felt different and acted different than everyone else around me. And it was not until I was in my 30s that I finally got myself diagnosed with something. I was like, people were like, oh, you probably have anxiety. And I think the people who have real anxiety, once they get on the right medication for them, it dramatically changes your life.
Yeah.
And when I got on anxiety medicine, it dramatically changed my life. It changed me to be a better me.
Yeah.
100%.
And
if I quit taking that medication, I would be a mess.
yeah. And that's why I can relate to actual transsexuals too, because it's that same thing of, like, I understand what it's like to be so uncomfortable with yourself. And it's a different thing, and it's for a different reason. But I understand what it's like to be so uncomfortable with yourself. You can't leave the house. You know, you're just so uncomfortable. You do things to whatever. I understand what that's like. And, like, if you're not able to have that access to, you know, your medication or whatever, it can be very bad.
Yeah.
So I also don't want to hear anyone in the comments saying I'm transphobic, because I absolutely am not. Just saying.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know, they just also say that, you know, doctors are using suicide against parents and families, saying your kid will commit if you don't do this. And obviously the parents don't want their kids to die, so they go with it.
Parents, you need to do more research and use your own brain before you just start blindly listening to other people.
Yeah. And Sarah, another thing that's really good about Sarah too is that she was not only being very factual, but she was able to name people, sources, like, she was the only one that was naming names, sources, and everything.
She is so awesome. I'm going to link below Blair's channel and Sarah's channel. I'm pretty sure, like, most people know who Blair is. She's a huge YouTuber. But if you don't know, I will link those below.
Yeah. So the last one was gender affirming and, like, that type of thing. And Blair was talking about false statistics, saying that trans women in general, their life expectancy is 35 years old. And then she says that that statistic was completely false. They use statistics of prostitutes.
Yep.
Prostitutes usually live until 35 years old.
And that's not trans prostitutes.
Yeah,
that's
just prostitutes.
Prostitutes.
Cis prostitutes.
Cis prostitutes,
and
yes.
So Blair was saying that to make the point that, you know, they do push this idea on people to scare trans people. Trans people are like, oh my God, I only have until 35 to live if I'm trans, right? And Blossom starts
spewing shit,
interjecting and saying that black people have it worse, and that black trans people usually don't live past 35, and that statistic is probably true because black trans people, in order to survive, need to prostitute. And what's wrong with what she said is that Blair wasn't even talking about trans prostitutes at all. She wasn't even talking about trans people. She was saying statistic, because they have no research about trans people, the statistic was literally taken from prostitutes, and they just put it and labeled it as trans, and that's wrong.
They didn't even do the proper steps to have that.
Blossom literally missed the entire point.
Yeah.
Missed the entire point was that they just don't have proper research.
Yeah, she just wasn't listening. She would refuse to listen.
And then there was a whole thing about her saying, you don't have to face the same discrimination that I do. And then very condescendingly...
Again, it's not about race.
Yeah, and then certain things she says are just so condescending. She was like, follow me here. When she said follow me here, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then she was saying, like, she's forbidden from certain spaces and, you know, they're destroying her community. And then there was this mic drop moment that Jubilee staged they stopped the conversation after this point as a mic drop for Blossom to say, my blackness shouldn't have to pay for your whiteness. And no one was allowed to answer to that, which a lot of times they did not let Blair talk how she should have been able to talk. But
that sentence literally did not belong in any moment in that video.
And it makes no sense.
And it made no sense.
Because this...
No one's blackness pays for our whiteness at all.
Yeah, I mean, the whole issue with it was that it was so irrelevant. The whole debate was about trans people, not black people.
Right.
And, like, another thing, like, I understand...
She also said that she was also saying Blair's whiteness, but Blair's not white.
She's Hispanic.
Half white, half Hispanic.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure that she's a minority as well.
But the thing is, they're all minorities in the sense that they're all trans.
Right.
And LGBTQ people, people with mental illnesses, any of those types of people, aside from race, also experience discrimination.
Right.
And I understand that being a black trans woman or a black person, you may face a different type of discrimination, because racism does exist, and no white people are saying, I mean, not that I know of, no white people are saying that racism against black people does not exist, because it does. But they're not trying to talk about black people, they're talking about transness,
right.
And they're also, Blossom is trying to make it sound like if you're not black and trans, you don't face the trans discrimination.
Yeah. None of what she was saying made any sense, because it literally has nothing to do with race at all.
Yeah. And Alexander was calling Blair disgusting.
That's so
and
rude.
Offensive.
That's gross.
And I think Alexander's personality was very disturbing. It was very scary. He was very aggressive. It's the way he talked. It was very aggressive. And if he came into the women's bathroom,
I would leave.
I would be afraid. Yeah. I would be afraid because he is scary. You can look in his eyes, and it looks like there's no soul behind his eyes. The way he talks is he's snapping at people, he's yelling, he's very much like passive-aggressive, and it's very scary.
And the thing is, this isn't just about him, this is about women, because women feel uncomfortable in general around certain types of people, and it's just because women are often the target of a lot of things, and so we can't control the fact that we might get really nervous if we see a certain type of person.
Yeah,
and he comes across as someone who might make me a little nervous if I'm alone with him in the bathroom.
The thing is, you don't know what type of women are going to be in the bathroom either, because there are like a lot of women. You can look up the statistic of how many women have been sexually abused, assaulted, or just discriminated against in their life, like sexually like harassed. It's most women. And women might see a male-looking person come into the bathroom, and it might cause a trauma response for them.
That's true. And I loved how, going back to that whole bathroom debate, I really loved how Blair explained that whole thing, you know, and how she cares more about making the other people comfortable.
Yeah. And not causing a disturbance.
And not causing a disturbance. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, which is something, I mean, she said it's human decency.
I think it is. It's sad that she feels that responsibility and other trans feel that responsibility. But I also think it's respectful that they feel that way, to make other people comfortable.
I mean,
it's selfless.
Blair and defensive tranny Marcus, they always talk about how real trans people, the biggest difference you can spot between real trans people and trans activists who are fake, the biggest difference is that transsexuals, their goal is to blend in and live life like a normal human being.
Exactly. That's it.
And so they don't want to cause the disturbance and bring all the attention to themselves. That's not their purpose. The trans activists, their goal is to bring all attention to themselves. And so
they're making the real trans community look really bad.
Gonna make Blair, for instance, or like any trans person, more comfortable to not be the center of attention when they're just trying to go to the bathroom. Because real trans people, yes, they're just trying to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, they're just trying to live their life like everyone else around them. You don't have to make a big spectacle of every little thing that you do.
Yeah, and I think it's, I felt really bad for Jessica that she said she felt like she couldn't pass, and so, you know, it's her duty to use the men's restroom because she doesn't want to make women uncomfortable.
That broke my heart, though, when she said that.
But, like,
I feel like if I saw Jessica come in the women's room and I was in there, I would start a conversation with her.
I feel like I wouldn't have an issue with her.
I feel like I would want to talk to her.
I think it also depends on, because you can tell the cross-dressers or whatever, their energy is just very gross. Yeah. Jessica, you look at her, she just is the sweetest lady ever.
Yeah.
And so, like she said, her friends used to pull her into the women's restroom and say, come with us. And she felt uncomfortable with that because she didn't want to intrude. I don't know, man.
Any final thoughts?
Basically, I thought the debate was very interesting. I thought the conservatives, I think it was a good debate because I think that will really maybe hopefully change a lot of people's minds on how they see things.
Yeah, I really actually think that it educated a lot of people. I learned things about this community that I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's very helpful. And you know, it made me learn who Sarah was, which I like because I really, really love her energy and everything. And she's incredible. Yeah.
You can learn a lot from her.
Oh, yeah.
I think even if you don't agree with any of the points on either side made in the video at all, I think the one thing that you can take from that is you can look at the behavior of the two sides, and that should show you what that is what the liberals act like, and that is what conservatives act like.
Yeah, if you don't look at anything else in that video and you just see that.
And I'm not trying to group everyone together because there are very annoying conservatives, and there are liberals who don't. Maybe they don't.
We're just talking specifically about this group, though.
Yeah, like their behavior, you could see the liberals. They didn't make good points. Number one, they weren't speaking anything of substance.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple good points made. I will give them that. But, you know, they were also personally attacking people. Conservatives, they were respectful in the conversation. And that is how a debate should be. You should be respectful in the conversation. And I think Jubilee, the moderator, could have done a better job of keeping the conversation more on topic and less disrespectful towards
and
Blair.
More equal, because it was very heavily sided towards the liberals.
Yeah, and I think the moderator should have invited, like, Jessica or Andrew to speak up more.
Yeah. But I thought the video overall was, you know, very, very frustrating because of the liberals, and I was getting very, very mad.
Certain things that were said, like I sat there and I was, oh my
God,
my eyes
Blossom made my blood pressure rise so high. I cannot stand her, and I am not afraid to say it. So, but this video, like just our talking part, is over an hour, and I'm going to add clips of this, so this is going to be very long. I sincerely apologize that this is a long video, but we really, really felt passionate about making this video. We really, really loved that Jubilee episode. Yeah. And Savannah and I talk about stuff like this all the time. We're constantly talking about not just this topic, but anything we get real passionate about.
Yeah, and if you want more commentary type videos or reactions to that type of stuff,
oh yeah, let us know.
Let us know and give us suggestions and we can do it because we like talking about this stuff.
You can see we love talking. It's been an hour. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this. If you stuck through the whole video, you are awesome. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I truly appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit like, subscribe if you haven't done that yet, and I will see you next time.
Bye, poopies.